In this session, we're going to look at creating the different types of groups we've just discussed in the presentation. You can see the default groups here: static, user, composite, and so forth. We're going to select static. We're going to call it VIP iPads. So we can put the very important iPads in this group. Okay, so we have our group selected. Now let's start linking. So we use the link button. Let's look at what's unlinked. So we looked at policies, and we can see many unlinked policies there. So how about we link a configuration to this group? Very simple, select it, select link. That's now removed from our view because our view is showing unlinked. And let's do the same for devices. So we can see the unlinked devices, but let's add our two iPads. And you can see the size of the group is indicating that there's two iPads in there. We're just confirming that in our view by looking at what's actually linked. So it'd probably be a good idea now to quickly click on the apply policies so that these groups will quickly receive their correct configuration. So now let's look at the other type of groups, dynamic. So remembering from the presentation, dynamic groups are based on views, and you can of course create custom views as we saw in our orientation. Let's call this group iOS Dynamic. We'll keep it simple for this example. And what we're doing here is we're selecting the default view of iOS. There's many other views we can choose, and again, we could utilize our custom views. But once we've selected our view, we just select the select tool, and you can see the selected view now represents iOS. So let's save that. Now if we wanted to look at what's actually linked or unlinked, okay, no records to display. So let's click on the refresh button, and now you can see our iOS devices are selected. Next type of group is users. And again, this is a very simple structure. What we can do is look at the defined groups on this particular server. So in this case it's NT domain, and we're just going to create an admins group. What we can do is highlight the group, use the picker to move it over, and if you want to understand what's in that group, highlight on the left hand side and then use the inspector, and you can see here the members of that particular administrators group on this machine. And user groups can be particularly applicable if we want to apply applications, or application policies. So different members of different groups would perhaps have access to different apps. So in this case, we're going to look at what's unlinked, and we're going to link some iOS applications there. So as this is a dynamic, well, we've looked at dynamic groups, and we clicked on the refresh button, that will automatically, or manually should I say, update the group. But let's look at how that works from a scheduling perspective. How are these queries or views updated? So we're quickly going to go look at the server, look at the configuration, look at the schedule tab. And here you can see some options such as device refresh, apply policies, but particularly client group auto refresh. And if we want to edit the schedule, the default here is at 12 AM, but we can look at repeats, so we could do this on different recurring schedules. So lastly, go back to groups and look at composite. This is a very simple structure. Basically this is nesting groups. And just in this basic example, I'm just going to take two static groups and combine them as well as the dynamic group, and combine them into this view. So there we have a composite group. And if we use the linker, we could look at what's unlinked and apply a policy as necessary. In this case, let's apply an app.